When it comes to KidsClick, it was a short-lived block by the Sinclair broadcast group. It lasted a pretty short time, probably around at the same length as Vortex. 2 years, to be exact. In fact, there is something to discover there about KidsClick itself. It actually had concept on its website. Case in point, its library was going to be different as there were attempts to have so many shows due to licensing issues until they got to that and they went to some different ones instead. This was shown to be for the website as I know it was intended to have Sonic X. And they didn't end up to get Sonic at any form. Instead they got something else. And then you get some promos about it. And then they were originally also going to have Power Rangers. Yeah, I guess they were trying to pull a Vortex there to have Power Rangers. But this isn't Power Rangers. You get to see the logo, but there's Sonic X in it. What the heck? That's just really weird. But you see the original Power Ranger, you know, the most iconic one of them all. And of course, they're also going to have Transformers. But this doesn't look like Prime. I remember when they were going to have Prime. But this is Robots in Disguise 2015. The supposed sequel of Prime. And you see that their concept because they don't have episode titles except for Sonic X. They just have episode title here. Here's more concept about it, and KidsClick was actually going to look different. Instead of the colors, it was going to have like orange text, kinda akin to Nickelodeon in a way. And there's Sonic, there's Angry Birds, there's Super 4. They were even going to have G.I. Joe. I guess due to some licensing issues with Hasbro led to them not having Power Rangers, Transformers, or G.I. Joe. I mean, they did get Cybertron and Energon later on, but that was it. They were intended to have Prime or Robots in Disguise, but they didn't end up to get those on its launch day. And being seen there, they were even going to have the original Pink Panther. I mean, I know they got Pink Panther and Pals, but the Pink Panther itself, that is really bizarre. Here is more concept art to look on KidsClick itself as they have character icons to be shown. As you can see, they even had a showcase about those like Scary Larry, which was short-lived. And then you get to see, yeah, you see, that's the original Pink Panther. That is not Pink Panther and Pals, that is the original Pink Panther. I guess it brought you some things about it, about these concept things, and you can see there's some similarities and differences, like Rocket Monkeys, weekdays at 7 a.m., and then you see Sonic X, 7 a.m. I guess it was for a weekend instead of the weekdays, which was pretty strange, and if you can see in the bottom, yep, Sinclair Broadcast Group, and it has the logo with the pointing thing in it. It says the final product is, of course, majorly different. You know, I think about it, even though it was an attempt to bring back Saturday morning cartoons, I can see what they did, and the branding wasn't really the best. It wasn't that much creative compared to those like Vortex, but what do you expect? It was the Sinclair Broadcast Group. And it would have worked better as its own channel instead of, well, a block, which it was an obsolete thing because there's streaming for that. If it would be a 24-hour channel, it would have brought to more viewership. But alas, they just went with a block, and it didn't last that long. And it moved from this TV to TBD and some feeds, KTL, well, KTLA is in Southern California. CW feeds. Yeah, it led to some CW feeds there. There were even attempts that it was going to have a watch live thing. Now, it would work if it would be it would have been a 24-hour network, but as a blog, it would have just lasted a few hours and nothing else. It would have brought to a notification say, well, thanks for watching KidsClick, see you tomorrow morning for more of your cartoons in there, and then you get the schedule of the shows. This would work better as a channel not a block, honestly, because the block itself, the idea was good to bring back Saturday morning cartoons, but the fact that it's kind of, pardon, obsolete, it's just, yeah, it's just off-putting about it on how it ended up. Here is the mobile version, and yes, there's Rocket Monkeys, a show that aired on KidsClick, and it was on Nickelodeon too. Ugh, I don't like that show. Super 4, Angry Birds, Sonic X, Miraculous, and it even had genres, and it seemed really basic. It looked like something that you would see on Kabillion than KidsClick, honestly. It's just, and then you get some strange language at the end. What the heck is that? Is that Latin? I'm not sure about it, but that's pretty weird. But this is what happened with that concept on KidsClick for what I found online. And then you get the basic abilities: home, show, schedule, games, find your station, watch live, and then trans up A to Z, genres, the same old, just for the online thing. But I like to keep in mind, this is the concept arts. I might get to a website page of the actual KidsClick in another video in the future. But this really is quite of a surprise about how the concept art ended up to be, even though that is not the final product. It was just concept. I remember when they also limited on advertising a bit due to licensing issues there. I do know there was some Chuck E. Cheese and some Mattel. I mean, they actually advertised Polly Pocket. Would have made sense if KidsClick got the Polly Pocket series, but alas, they didn't. And yes, another one of the era. Sonic X. In actuality, this is Transformers. Quite crazy, given how Rid 2015 and Sonic X did not end up to be on KidsClick. I remember when it had stuff like Zack, took them so long to have Zack Storm, and they didn't even air all of the season for what I remember. And then they quietly removed it for some bizarre reason. They also had the Legendaries, a short-lived animated series that didn't live to its expectations of many people compared to the books. And of course, I was not surprised that their biggest hit was Miraculous. A freaking course, because that was back when the show was good. And they had season 2 episodes, so it was half of season 2. Not fully on season 2, half of it. And of course, it was its big thing, and they even had intros and sing-alongs and clips of it to show off how much they did it. They really went all in before Disney Channel got to it. And you know how Disney Channel is currently over-airing the series a lot. Well, not a lot compared to back then, but you get what I mean. They have been airing it so many times. That's interesting. I mean, it felt kind of random. Those some acquire companies from other networks, and I can see why they were trying to compete, but it didn't end up well because it was a block, and it would have worked better as a sub-channel or its own network with these choices, but no, they just had to go with a block for some bizarre reason. Just to think that it'll be the comeback of Saturday morning cartoons, even though that's practically a dead concept unless you're MeTV, which MeTV actually does it right due to, well, nostalgic purposes and how niche it is. Well, I might as well give my final thoughts about this concept art. It looks nice, and I don't know why they have freaking Chuck E. Cheese in it. Jeez, the advertisements. You might as well make your own Chuck E. Cheese animated series. It's kind of weird, given how Funimation actually worked on a Chuck E. Cheese project. I am not kidding. That is actually real. But also, that selection was interesting. It has some elements, and I'll get to the real deal someday. Well, but, the block itself really could have been better for it. I mean, I get what they're going for. I mean, I do like the sister network that, well, not this network. I do like the concept art itself, despite being a bit generic. Though the final product is actually alright, despite also being a bit generic. But still, it would have worked better if it was its own network. Not a block. Not an attempt to bring back Saturday morning cartoons. Because it's a dead concept. Streaming is its main focus. Cable networks have also been a cause about it too. And even though they are dwindling down, they still do good in modern cable standards. Just look at Cartoon Network. Look at Nickelodeon, despite the fact of how they have been having series lows of those like SpongeBob. They still matter. And KidsClick would work better if it was its own 24-hour network as a sub-channel for over-the-air. We could have had one like Cubo, rest in peace. And it would have been a success. But no, they decided to do it in an attempt to bring back Saturday mornings instead. And it just didn't really live up to its expectations. And it had attempts to have like Sonic and Transformers and G.I. Joe and the original Pink Panther. At least what they got was nice, and yeah, I mean, Tune It With Me does make sense due to growing up with it back then. And they are having Toonie TV, which I honestly hope that ends up to be a hit too. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on the concept art about KidsClick? Do you think it's quite interesting back then, or do you prefer the final product? Also, they really went all in to have Chuck E. Cheese being on it just because of advertising. My goodness. Anyway, guys, this is Kawaii Life Antonio, signing off. Peace.